Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Karla, for those of you who don't know me. So let me tell you a little bit about my story. I have been living all over the world for the past 2.5 years. It has been myself and my partner Lucas and our little pug joined us. And now she's traveling with us. So it's super cool. We've lived in about 16 different countries already. So when I say live, I mean we don't own any possessions back home. There is no home. The world is our home now. We literally don't have any material possessions aside from the things that we carry in our suitcase. I know, it's pretty crazy, and in all reality we can't carry around too much stuff because then it becomes kind of heavy, and I really just don't like dealing with it in general. When I mean living, I also mean that we don't just, visit a place and stay there for 2-3 days and then move on. We actually move to each place for about a month minimum. Sometimes we stay for 3 months. That's kind of like our norm. Or like we did when we lived in Buenos Aires, Argentina, we stayed there for 8 months. So it just depends on the location, how much we're kind of feeling it when we get there. We're kind of like tired of like moving around month to month. We'll stay in a place a little bit longer. It's been quite the adventure. At this point, we're completely used to it. I know when we first moved out of the US, our first place, and to us it was kind of safe, just because of the distance, we moved to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. And that month we really were like, holy, like this is really cool. Like we can actually live wherever we want and keep doing our day-to-day things, and we don't need to live in one certain place. We didn't need to plant roots, so to say. So as for me myself, back when I lived in the US, I had my job. I did business development for an engineering company. It was a nice cushy job. I was pretty comfortable. But Lucas, since he works in the payments industry, and he was basically able to work from wherever. That's just the way he's been for a while now. So he didn't technically need to be in an office. Any of his phone calls with his partners, they could all be done through phone. They could be on Skype. Everything was all virtual for him. So that's when we got the idea, when we're like, dude, what are we doing here? Like, let's just go. And he asked me like, what do you think? Do you think this is a good idea? And I said, let's go. So I quit my job. And he's been basically supporting the family since then. So then I started working on things like Upwork. I started doing a lot of website copy for companies online, a lot of writing, editing. I'm still trying out a couple of other business ventures at the moment. I feel like I wasted a lot of time not videoing what we were doing. I did start off in the very beginning recording, everything that we were doing, everywhere we were going. But I didn't like the fact that I felt like we weren't enjoying things in the moment and we were just focused on recording everything. So I really didn't like that aspect, and that's why after I did about, I think 3 or 4 episodes, I stopped and I told Luke, I just want to enjoy our life. Like, I don't need to be showing it to anybody. Well, fast forward to a few months back, I thought, dude, like, I should have been doing this since the beginning. I should have kept going. So now you guys can keep me accountable. I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to be recording everything. But I have taken a different approach this time. Let's say when we're first like arriving to like a new place, and it's like let's say it's like a beautiful new city and whatnot, I kind of take the time for the first day for us to enjoy and kind of look around and see everything, see the thing that I'm going to be recording. So then the next day, or whenever we go back, I go in and I actually record everything. I feel like that's a much better approach because I'm a huge believer in being in the moment. So a question I get from a lot of people is, how many countries have we lived in? So we've lived in 16, and let me give you all the countries to be exact. So Mexico, we lived in Chile, Peru, Argentina, Uruguay, Brazil, Obviously the US. Asia as well. We lived in Japan. We lived in Bali. We lived in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, and Spain. Czech Republic. Budapest. That's not a country. Hungary and Austria, in Vienna to be exact. Now Colombia. Germany. I forgot about Germany. We lived in Berlin. And I think that's it. Very cool experience. I'm super fortunate to be able to see all these beautiful countries and to actually live in them. Living in them is a totally different experience and just, you know, kind of being a tourist and just kind of seeing the city for a couple of days. It gives you like a really big insight as to how people live. So another question that people ask me is, what is one of the things that you do to get situated in a new city? So the first thing we do, we show up to our apartment. If it's super late, then we definitely just go to sleep. But if we show up a little bit earlier in the day, the first thing we do is we head to the grocery store. We buy ourselves all our basics. There's salt, pepper, definitely hot sauce because I need hot sauce. If there are jalapenos in the country, then I find all of them and I buy all of them because I need them in my food. We buy a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruit. I try to find like tofu. I try to find everything that I need for my diet specifically because I'm vegan. And yeah, we get things like cereal as well, oatmeal, just a lot of like the basic things. So after we have our groceries, we're pretty much set. Everything can kind of continue on as a normal day. We try to book places with gyms as much as possible, but sometimes they don't come with gyms. So then I have to look online and I need to see what gyms are available near us, if there are any. That's probably the part that keeps me personally a little bit inconsistent, because sometimes we don't find a gym, so then we have to get creative and do home workouts, which it is doable, but I just feel it's always so much better being at a gym. A gym routine is something you really want to keep up. And once you kind of break that, it gets harder and harder as you kind of go. I'll tell you guys a little bit more later about my fitness journey that I just started on 2 days ago. Actually, just yesterday, so I'm lying. Okay, so we look for a gym. Also, I try to always find us places that have a washer and dryer. Remember, these are things that we really don't think about when we live in a, I guess, more permanent home. So sometimes they don't come with washer and dryer. So then I need to look up places that'll like wash our clothes for us. Gosh, sometimes it's crazy. I remember when we were living in Rio de Janeiro, there was a place nearby our apartment at that time and they charged outrageous prices, $80-something. So that was insane. Too much for just like a load of laundry. But then sometimes we have luck, like when we lived in Tulum, they would charge us, I think, maximum like $8, which was insane. And they don't just give it back to you like all wrinkled up in a bag. Everything's beautifully like placed. Just depends on the country or city that you're in. Another issue too is water. So I have to look up like every single place that we get to if the tap water is safe to drink. Luke refuses to drink the tap water, and I get it, even when it says that it's safe, but I'm like a lot more lenient about it. So if we get to a place and I see online that the tap water is fine, then I'll drink tap. But if not, we have to literally go get like gallons of water, and I hate doing that just because of the plastic waste. I personally try to drink about a gallon of water a day, and that's not sustainable when you're running around having to get like gallons of water every other day or every day. It's always great when we find a place that has either a filter or has like 1000% secure drinking water. So another thing I get asked about a lot too is how do you get kind of used to like the culture, and what do you do about the language when you don't know it? The culture, it's always different everywhere. I feel like we've spent a lot more time in Latin America and South America, so it's pretty easy for us because I speak fluent Spanish and Luke speaks enough Spanish to where he can have conversations with people and know what's going on. He thinks his Spanish is bad, but it's really amazing, especially because he learned it on his own probably like 7 years ago when he lived in Argentina for the first time. So yeah, to me it's very impressive. It's a lot easier living in Latin America and South America because of the Spanish. But when we step like into Brazil and there's Portuguese there, I didn't understand anything. So before we leave anywhere, we basically try to learn just some basic terms that we can use every day. It could be like a basic like hello, goodbye. I know in Germany there was a lot of little things that you kind of needed to know in order to get into some of the nightclubs. The only one I remember honestly is whenever they would say like, what do you want to drink? And I would say zwei Bier. And I don't even know if I'm saying that right. I'm probably not saying it right, but it's basically 2 beers. So yeah, that's the only thing I remember in German. Like I said, we try to learn a few terms that'll kind of help us out in the day-to-day, and also to be respectful of the people that live in that country. Like we can't just come in as these like, you know, tourists that are American and we think we can just like be talking in English to everybody because they should know English. Like that's such bullshit. Every country is different. You find out very quickly what phrases they say very often when they say them. Here in Colombia, right off the plane, we quickly realized that everyone is extremely nice here. Very, very, very nice. We had had just such a bad experience at the airport in Mexico City from Interjet. They treated us like shit. If you guys want to hear more about that, I have a whole hour-long rant about it on my podcast, and it's the Karla Code on Apple Podcasts, so go check that out if you want to hear a little bit more about that. But anyway, I just couldn't believe how nice everybody was here. And every time you see somebody on the street, people say they say buen dia or buenas. You know, you're walking by and it's somebody you don't know, and here you're walking on the street and people see you and they say like good morning, good afternoon, good evening, like just total strangers. So I found that to be very refreshing. The different ways of catcalling in different countries, it changes everywhere. I've noticed here in Colombia that, you know, you walk by and they say like hello, and you just say hi, how are you? And then as you're like probably 3 or 4 feet away, they're like, ay, mamacita, que rica. They say things like that, and it's just kind of like, it's definitely interesting. Definitely interesting seeing all the different catcalls in different countries. Some places you feel it gets scary. It feels scary when people are like catcalling you. And then in other countries, they don't say anything at all. So I've noticed that a lot in typically the European countries, the Northern European countries, that people won't stare at you and people won't look at you for too long. Maybe I'm not their type, I don't know, but they won't look at you for too long and they won't make you feel uncomfortable. So just depends where you're at in the world. And I'll get to my last question that I get a lot. By the way, if you guys have any other questions about the way that we live and anything about our travels or anything at all about me in general or Luke, feel free to ask me in the comments below so that I can make videos in the future to discuss all of those things. So the last question I get a lot is, how do you guys do it with your luggage? When we first moved, I had a lot of stuff. So I brought as much clothes as I possibly could, but I just did it enough to where I could fit into one big suitcase. And that one is a big 50-pound, 55-pound suitcase. So that's typically what in most of the airlines they let you travel with. That's usually the weight limit, 50 to 55 pounds usually. So I'll explain a little bit more about that in a bit. So I had a lot of clothes, and then I quickly realized that I wasn't using even half of the clothes that was in my luggage. but I was hauling it around all over the place, and I really dislike having too much stuff and carrying it around. Like, I just don't like it. While we were living in Mexico the first time, I kind of started looking at a lot of stuff, and I was like, I don't wear this, I don't wear that, I'm never gonna wear this again. Like, I probably won't wear this until this time. So why am I lugging all this stuff around? I started giving things away. I would basically give them to a woman or man that would come and clean the apartment at the very end. I would ask them like, hey, do you have any family members that may need any of this like clothes? And they would always take it. So I just started giving stuff away. We do purchase things when we're in new places, so that's kind of been our rule. So if we're gonna go shopping and we're gonna buy ourselves new things, then we gotta get rid of it. Also, another big life hack for any of you people that are planning on traveling a lot is we just started wearing all black. I made this very simple for myself. So if you go back and look at my photos on Instagram or any of these videos, you're going to see that I'm wearing different variations of like the same outfit all the time. I try to stay away from prints as much as possible, just because I don't like taking photos and then having the same pants again in the photo. It's just a lot more recognizable than different variations of like black tops and black bottoms. 90% of my closet is all black clothes, and it makes it so much easier too on a day-to-day to just be like, okay, what am I gonna wear today? And you just like pull out a black shirt, black pants, black shoes, black sandals, boots, whatever. Yeah, that's your outfit for the day. So that's great. Also, something that I did that was probably one of the smartest things I've ever done, and we got a little scale to weigh our bags before we went to the airport. So I used to get a lot of anxiety before going to the airport because I always thought, oh my god, I don't know how much this weighs. Like, if it's overweight, they're gonna want to charge us more, or we're gonna have to pull over to the side right there in front of everybody and start taking stuff out and maybe throwing stuff out at the airport. So we bought a scale. That's really cool. It's just like, so you basically hook it up to the bag handle, and then up here it just tells you how much everything weighs, and this thing has been a lifesaver. I also carry around a tape measure, believe it or not, you know, the measuring. There are cheaper airlines, and usually the cheaper airlines are a lot more strict with their weight limits and their size limits. The reason I know this, I go and look at their reviews and I see exactly how strict they are. Viva Air here in Colombia. So we've had 2 very good experiences with them so far, but it's because we've been on point with it, okay? The bag limit, the bag size limit is very small. They're your personal size bag that you can take on the plane that's free. It's also small. Like, you can't go in there with a big backpack. I saw a lot of really pissed off people at the airport. One of the huge things that really pisses people off at this airline specifically is that they force you to print your boarding pass in advance, okay? So you can't show up and have your phone and then scan your phone. Like, no, you have to print it in advance. If you go up to the counter when you're trying to check in and you don't have your boarding pass, they'll print it for you, but I'm not kidding you, it's like $25 per person. Really, guys, I really suggest before you travel with any airline that you haven't flown with before, go online, look at the reviews, see how strict they are, go to their website. I know it's a little bit of extra work, but it'll really relieve a lot of stress and prevent you from having to pay outrageous airport fees that some of these airlines have. They really over exaggerate on the prices. They really take advantage of the customers. But yeah, like I said, the best thing you can do is just be prepared. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I think I answered a few of the most asked questions that I get from you guys as far as my travels go. If you guys don't follow my Instagram page already, go ahead and follow it at It's Karla Yvonne. My other one for my podcast is at The Karla Code, and my name is spelled with a K. Please give this episode a like if you liked the information that I had to give you guys. Also, comment below on some of the other questions that you might have for me. I'll answer anything and everything, unless there's stupid questions, and there are stupid questions. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.